Good morning. Please find your seats and prepare for this morning's service. To those of you here with us in the sanctuary, please be advised that this service is being streamed on YouTube. To those of you watching this streamed service, we're glad to have you watching. We look forward to the day that we'll all be back in the sanctuary, and it'll be post-pandemic. Also, let me remind you that we have a pre and post service on Zoom, which also runs the YouTube stream for this service. Please make sure you read the announcements of your printed order of service. Also, and especially, be sure to read the weekly events that are emailed to you each Thursday, as well as the Unigram and the website. I urge you to keep our website, your website, open as a tab on your internet browser so that you can keep up with things that are happening. There are a few announcements I'd like to make real quick. If you'll notice, in the back of the seats, Laura Hartwick has made these. You can now get your order of service on your phone if you want to, and this gives you the directions of how to do that. Second, this is the second week of Guest at Your Table. You will find envelopes that say offering for UUSC Guest at Your Table. And this is an event that happens every November. And there's a table set up when you go outside to chat and just visit. You can see what the money that we send to the UU Service Committee goes for, and all of the many projects that they support throughout the world. And lastly, if you'll notice in the back, we now have a tree set up. And so our program with the Palmetto Project, Families Helping Families, begins today. You can take a card and buy a gift and return it wrapped by December 5th. For those of you who would prefer to donate money, you can donate online. You can donate by a check anyway, and we ask that the money, if you are donating money, that you have the money to us by November 28th. That will give us a week for members of the Social Action Committee to go and buy the other necessary gifts that need to be bought. We have 2 families this year. We are the only people doing these families, and they have been found by the Palmetto Project to be very needy families, so they are welcoming anything that we can do for them. Please practice social distancing and mask wearing per board-approved guidelines. Please do not take any chances. We do not want to lose you or any of your loved ones. I brought the flowers today. They are in honor of a friend I met in graduate school who died unexpectedly 2 weeks ago. Her memorial was yesterday. I was not able to attend. So this is in her honor. Her name is Sarah Williams. And now let us center ourselves for today's service and remember to silence all electronic devices as we listen to the prelude.
Our music in today's service will feature 2 of Einstein's favorite composers, Mozart and Bach. Einstein himself loved music and played the violin, and he was especially fond of the sonatas for violin and piano by Mozart. Karen Peters will join me on viola, actually to begin with a sonatina by Mozart, transcribed by Piatigorsky.
Thank you, Anna and Karen. That was beautiful. Please stand and join me in the congregational covenant as found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, thus do we covenant with one another. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia. My name is Connie Quirk, and I am your service leader for the day. Our minister is Reverend Stephen Robinson, and on those Sundays when Stephen is not in the pulpit, we present a variety of qualified and interesting speakers from this congregation or from recognized guests from the wider community. Unitarian Universalism is a diverse and non-creedal religion. We are a covenantal religion, which means that we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. Our community is based on deeds, not creeds. As Unitarian Universalists, we side with love, embracing all people, regardless of age, color, race, socioeconomic status, physical ability, or religious background. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we also embrace LGBTQ individuals. We encourage everyone to wear name tags so that we may know each other better. Board members wear green name tags, and they always welcome your comments, questions, and suggestions. Would the members of our Board of Trustees please stand now to be recognized? Thank you. At this time, we would like to recognize any guests or visitors who are with us today. If you're willing and able, please rise and share with us your name and where you're from. Or if you have guests with you, please feel free to introduce them. Please wait for the microphone to come to you. Go right ahead.
Hey everyone, my name is Charles, and I'm living in Newberry, South Carolina right now. Just visiting.
All right, thank you, Charles.
Hi, I'm Jane Gibson. I've been here one other time a couple of weeks ago, and I very much enjoy your congregation. I live in Irmo now. If any of you do, I'd like to know, because maybe not that far away for most of you. And I was a teacher in Maryland for 25 years before I came here. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Krause, and I have been here, but it's been a while because of the pandemic, which I spent most of the time in Pennsylvania. I'm interested in you because I'm originally a Marylander. So, and I attended the Unitarian Universalist Church in Columbia, Maryland. So I have to put something different every time I write my check because I think, oh. But anyway, I've sold my house in Maryland, so I'm either going to be here or in Texas. So nice to be back.
I vote for here.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. When we are further along in our recovery, we will take time to greet each other, and I will tell you that you are all welcome to stay and continue your conversations and enjoy refreshments sometime in the future in the social hall. But until now, we ask you to go outside and to visit outside. You'll see there's tables and chairs and places out there too. And hopefully by the time the service is over, it'll warmed up a little bit more than it was this morning. Today's chalice lighter is someone I know pretty well, Kevin McKinney. Most of you know him as my husband.
Well, I think it's probably true that most of you know me as her husband. We came here basically 3 years ago, going on 4 now, for the first time from Atlanta, Georgia. We have passions for social justice and, in my case, music. And what more do I really need to say, except that we're very glad to be here.
Thank you, Kevin. Spirit of light and life, come unto us.
This morning's musical meditation features words by William Blake and music arranged by Edvard Grieg. It's called To See the World. To see the world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour.
Thank you. I'm going to pull the mic up just a little bit. Not saying Connie is short. So I looked out. I don't think we have any children in the sanctuary today. Maybe a few adults that act that way, but no children in our sanctuary. So Jim's raising his hand back there. He agrees. But what I was going to share with the kids is a great way to kind of kick off our service today. Anybody know who that is on the front of your program? Mark Drews? What was that? I don't have my glasses on, but it could be. Sorry, Mark. This is Albert Einstein, and today we are reflecting on the life of Einstein for a couple of reasons. One, I think we're in a day and age where oftentimes spirituality, religion can be skeptical of science, and to reaffirm our commitment that we are a religion, we are a spiritual group, a community, a faith community that embraces science in this day and age and celebrates the great work. But also, we are celebrating an anniversary of Einstein. November 14th is the anniversary of his discovery of the quantum theory of light. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today, particularly with us being light people and being chalice people. Now, for me to get up and talk about Einstein, or particularly talk about the quantum theory of light, I am risking multiple emails coming my way with all the things that I got wrong. And so I decided I didn't want to deal with that next week. And so we are actually inviting in a voice from our virtual community into our service today. One of our members that has been watching virtually each week. That's why we have the TV here. I was able to sit down with Dr. Ron Edge this week on Zoom and conducted an interview with him and let him talk about the importance of Einstein and the importance of the quantum theory of light. So if you disagree with Ron, I will give you his email address, and you can call him up and let him know how you disagree. But I won't be I'm getting myself out of that triangle. But it is just great. We have so many that as we are certainly in our culture getting better with our numbers and hoping to see some end to this pandemic, we also have so many in our community that watch virtually. We miss their presence here. We're glad to stay connected in community. I was able to join the Zoom call just before the service started today and say hi to the folks that were on the Zoom call, and Linda Brennison is in the back there hosting that Zoom call for us. So it's just great to be able to bring Ron in at the age, I believe, of 93 into our service today in a way that is safe for him and gets his voice and his presence and his face into their room.
We're not really understood enough.
Oh, there he is. We're not ready for him yet, but you can see him. Ron's trying to sneak in the service early. Oh, by the way, Ron is at the beach too, as you can see when we did our Zoom call. All right, for our opening words today, I wanted to share just a few of my favorite quotes from Einstein that I thought would be really great for our centering ourselves in our service today. So I have 6 quotes from Einstein. Some I think speak really deeply to where we are in our particular time in our culture. First one is, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. That's a great one, isn't it? I'll say that one again. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Next quote, all religions, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. The important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. It's a great quote. This is particularly great for our day and age. The world is in greater peril from those who tolerate or encourage evil than from those who actually commit it. And then last, the years of anxious searching in the dark with their intense longing, their alternations of confidence and exhaustion, and final emergence into light, only those who have experienced it can understand that. So thank you, Albert Einstein, for your many contributions to our world. At this time, we move into our candles of community, and I have a couple of candles. I did. I don't know where I put them. Can you grab me a couple, Don? And while Don's doing that, I will tell you, before we start our candles for community today, that we are going to have a short service after we have a little bit of time of gathering and fellowship outside. We're going to have a short service for a re-spreading of the ashes for Verona Thomas. When she died many, many years ago, her family requested that her ashes be put into one of our flower gardens back there that actually broke down, and we're having to relocate. So if you'd like to come, it's going to be really quick service, just as at one point as we are gathering in time of fellowship, we'll gather in the memorial garden for that respreading of the ashes into our scattering place in the garden. And I really appreciate Linda McLeod and Bill Dolly, all those who helped in the building and grounds to make that happen, and very special. And we have notified the family, and we have look forward to blessing and remembering Verona today. I have 2 candles to light to begin our time of lighting candles. The first is for JP and Jane, who are traveling back to South Carolina from their home in Montana. And JP, in the midst of travel, broke his leg and tore his tendons And so he is recovering from a surgery and looking forward to getting back on his feet soon. As you can imagine, JP might be on some pain medication, which means you can't tell, if you're getting JP or the normal JP or JP on pain medication. That's what I told him, at least this week, which he completely agreed with, one of those big belly laughs. But we are remembering and celebrating JP today and holding our hearts for him and Jane as they are taking care of that. And I have a candle of celebration. This is American Education Week. And so I want to celebrate all those educators who pour their lives into adults and children and invest so much in their education, and particularly recognize one of our own, Mark Drews, who we took a shot at earlier today. Mark Drews received the award for outstanding contributions to mathematics education from the South Carolina Council of Educators of Mathematics this week, and we are celebrating you, Mark. Now I invite any others that have candles they would like to share to please make their way up.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm running late. I'm always running late nowadays. But I'm just lighting this for Nick and myself on this ongoing leukemia. I want to say fight, battle, whatever it is, it's not good. But I want to thank everyone for everything they're doing.
One of the brightest, shiniest women that I've ever known in my life passed away this last week. I love her very much. I miss her very much. I'm very sorry for myself that I'll never see her again. I love you, Aunt Jenny.
Where have all the candles gone? I guess it was too late to get one. But just a feeling of very joy and happiness for our new home. And I finally made it to Bull Street, and I've been committed, and no surprise, I guess, to a lot of folks, but we're very happy. And thank you.
And of course, we always hold close in our hearts those concerns, those joys that are too intimate to share and out loud, but definitely are held in this community, this close-knit community together. I invite you to just a second of silence to remember the joys that you heard and celebrate. Pour that love and energy toward celebration. The concerns that you heard share, the grief, pour your love and energy toward that, and feel what you feel during this time of silence. Thank you. All right, I'm going to invite Laura, if you will, to come up and before we take our offering and talk a little bit about the significance of this month of November.
November is our annual Guest at Your Table month. It's the month we support the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The UUSC works to advance human rights by supporting small grassroots organizations so that they can make a difference in their own communities around the world. Mary DeGapa is one of the many people who has been helped by UUSC. Afraid for her life, Myra fled her home in Burma, also known as Myanmar, in 1995. Myra was forced to escape from her home because of the violence and human rights abuses so commonly experienced by ethnic minorities. It was a living nightmare, she remembers. I fled with just the clothes on my back. A member of a minority ethnic group, Myra consistently witnessed military brutality toward her community. We had trenches around our school so that as we hear the sound of the fighter jets, we can literally jump straight into the trenches, Myra recalls. I saw a lot of people were killed, even including my own classmates. Now settled in the U.S., Myra sees it as her responsibility to advocate for the people of Burma who continue to face the abuses like those she fled, as well as for grave dangers in speaking out. Myra amplifies the voices of human rights activists in Burma and much more through her work directing the U.S. Campaign for Burma, USCB, a human rights advocacy organization and UUSC partner. USCB is dedicated to promoting inter-ethnic solidarity, raising awareness about crimes committed by the Burmese military, and bringing about an end to the military regime. Myra and USCB's work was needed more than ever following the 2021 coup d'etat in the early hours of February 1st, the day the new parliament was set to take office. The Burmese military seized power, detaining human rights activists and barring elected leaders from taking office. The internet and communications went down and tanks rolled through the streets. The military instituted control of the country. In the ensuing months, the brutality of the military was on horrific display. As peaceful protesters took to the streets, the military murdered more than 800 people and injured thousands more. Following the coup, Myra and USCB quickly sprang into action. With UUSC's support, USCB provided emergency funding to help protesters fearing for their lives get to safety. With close ties to the ethnic minorities in Burma, Myra is a key leader in bringing people together and moving this vision of inclusivity forward, and she will not stop until her work is no longer needed. Please help us support UUSC and the work they do today by putting your donation into one of the special GAYT envelopes on your chairs, or by writing GAYT in a memo line of your check. You can also donate online by going to our website and clicking the donate button and choosing UUSC GAYT on the drop down. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And we do grieve not being able to have that event in our fellowship hall or gathering area for that. But do please contribute. We also have a Share the Plate recipient for this month of November. And so just a reminder that Meals on Wheels is our Share the Plate recipient this month. And I know many of us are big supporters of Meals on Wheels and many volunteers that do that work. And so give you an opportunity in this month for us to renew that commitment and celebrate with the great work that they do in our community. This time I invite our ushers to come forward to receive our offering.
Johann Sebastian Bach was one of Einstein's favorite composers, and our offertory music selection today is Bach's Fugue in C minor from Book 1 of the Well-Tempered Clavier.
Thank you, Anna. We receive this offering today as a symbol of our commitment to the good work of the UUCC. All right. So I don't think I need to do much introduction for our sermon sharer today. He and I are co-sermonating. Should have rethought that before I said that out loud. Dr. Edge is a distinguished professor at the University of South Carolina, former chair of the physics department there, distinguished science, one of our distinguished scientists here at the UUCC. Many of you know him, and he and his deceased wife Gertrude are pillars of this congregation, and we celebrate him and his contributions to what he brings for us, whether it is accordion music that we've had an opportunity to listen to, or maybe you've attended one of his sessions on the state of the universe. We know what Ron brings to the table. And we know that you need to give him a time limit too. So he's got 11 minutes of video here that we are looking forward to. I asked Ron to talk a little bit about Einstein, and particularly the anniversary of this quantum theory of light, because I really believed, as he and I talked about it, that there are some great implications for us from a spiritual lens as well, both embracing science and celebrating a scientist like Einstein, but also this beautiful theory and quantifying light. And that's the last thing I'm going to say that sounds scientific, because I am just on the edge of sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to hand it off to Ron. So as soon as you're ready, David, we'll get it rolling.
It's without really.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Edge, for joining us. It's good to see you again and sharing with us this morning. We are celebrating in our worship service today on November 14th the anniversary of Einstein's discovery of the quantum theory of light. And I thought, what better person to tell us the significance of that discovery than you? And I know you have some of the history of it, so I want to turn it over to you and let you share.
Well, the thing is, of course, that Einstein is always associated with relativity, and of course his Nobel Prize was won not from relativity at all, but because of the business of random walk, which probably most people have not heard of, that you can predict exactly how things are going to go if you look at what the people are walking about. Anyway, we're talking about light. The first person to really attack the subject was probably Newton. And of course, he had this idea that the light, it had only two possibilities. One was that it was a particle or something like that. That is to say, like something you could see, like a billiard ball or something like that. Or that it was a wave. Now, in those days, waves were not really understood at all, but, well, not really. And if you take a skipping rope and shake it up and down, that's a wave. And of course, it's easy to see that, but it's difficult to believe that that's what light is about. But of course, people had gone on from then. But what Einstein did was to quantify it to some degree and look at it from the point of view of the mathematics and so on. Einstein was, of course, a very poor mathematician. One always assumes that he knew all about the mathematics and so on. But he had a friend, really, who was really a good mathematician. And so when he had a mathematical problem, he got this guy to look at it and solve it for him. And he, on the other hand, had a terrific intuition, a mathematical intuition, which is almost unbelievable. But in terms of adding one and one together, he was quite hopeless. Anyway, so he following on Newton, decided to look into it in some detail. And of course, there's this the Newton's idea that gravity was an apple falling on your head and that kind of stuff. But actually, of course, we really didn't know what light was. And the strange thing is, even to this day, we still don't know. And Einstein realized that. He was a very inoffensive guy. You know, he was not a sort of guy who argued volubly or anything like that. But he was willing to discuss stuff in great detail. And he came up with the conclusion that light could be both a particle and a wave. And of course, this was strange. And of course, this led to what we call the quantum theory of light, which was that light was a particle, but it was also a wave too. Well, how can that be? It's like saying a thing is one thing, but it's also another. And that was then, and still is, the difficulty of understanding it. Well, how do physicists check on that? They do experiments. So you do experiments to see whether light is a particle. And if you take a picture with your camera, you're actually treating light as a particle. It comes in as a vibration. It then falls on a silver atom in the camera and alters that, and that then gives you your picture. So light, in that terms, is behaving as a particle. However, if you take light in another sense, for example, it can behave as something that vibrates up and down. And as it does that, it behaves as a wave. And you can then make it actually chase up and down, actually physically do that. So this is the trouble that we have. Now, what Einstein did, of course, was to quantify this in terms of the quantum theory, which was that light behaves as a particle and a wave at the same time. And you have to work out how that can happen. And even to this day, that's a problem. And so it led to rules and so forth of the behavior of light, not merely as a particle, but as a wave too, together. And you still have difficulty, even I, even anybody else, has a great difficulty being able to do that. And so anybody that says they understand it, be very suspicious about them, because they probably don't. Anyway, so Einstein, as I said, he had great intuition, and he quantified it, but he had great help. You have to remember, in those days, you had all these other people working on this quantum theory. And the quantum theory, of course, was that you had waves, E equals h nu, the frequency of the wave, and the mass of the wave as it behaves as a particle. And if you are going to ask me how to explain that, I can't. It just is. That's the way it is. And Einstein realized that. It is interesting to wonder how he thought about it, because even today, most people have great difficulty following what's going on. I never met Einstein myself, because he never came to England when I was there, and I never went to America. I did meet Heisenberg. Heisenberg was the guy who came up with the uncertainty principle. But he was also incredibly intuitive in thinking about these things. So Einstein went on now, and this simple idea that you have the energy of a photon, a light particle, is this constant, Planck's constant, multiplied by the frequency. So you know exactly, you have one of these things of light coming in, what its mass will be, and therefore what its frequency will be, and so on. And that gives you a great help, but it still doesn't explain it. It's just one of those things you have to put down as being what life is like. And so we go on. Well, I don't know. Even today, you'll find people that don't believe in one theory. The quantum theory, of course, is that light is a quantum. That is, it's a particle, not a particle, but a concrete thing. Light we think of as a continuous wave going along. And so how can that be a quantum? Well, it's because it produces just so much energy. And of course, energy and light and so on are easily put together. Well, of course, that was the simple idea, but the general theory of relativity, which Einstein went on to work out, is far more complex. And it has, just to put it briefly, it has been confirmed as far as people could possibly tell, And I think I'll leave it at that point. The thing is that we still don't understand it, but we do know how it works. And that's like some people behave with a car. They know how to drive it, but they don't understand how it works. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much. So it's one of those things that we have to accept is true and believe it, even though we don't completely understand really the dual nature of light, really, that it's a particle and a wave, and so can produce a tremendous amount of energy, correct?
Yes, in fact, the universe is run on that basis, and will continue that way, I hope, indefinitely.
Yes, until it doesn't work anymore, right? Well, thank you so much, Dr. Edge, for maybe not explaining how it works, but at least explaining that it is and helping us to understand what it is. We really appreciate your insight today.
Indubitably.
And Dr. Edge typically watches our services, so let's just give him a really big round of applause. I know we gave one. Thank you, Ron. It was a pleasure to talk to you, as always. And we do miss you, and we're glad we are connected to you and we're able to hear your voice and see your face and enjoy your time at the beach as you were there. Yeah, lots of particles of light that Ron is seeing today. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you heard the interesting thing for a scientist to say, that we can't explain it, you just have to accept it that it is. It's a mystery, which is such a, for me, a great point of intersection between spirituality, which I believe rests in mystery, and the ability to embrace mystery, as C.S. Lewis said, to befriend mystery, and science that also at times, with all that it can prove and quantify, that there has to be a space in science as well to embrace mystery. I really like this particular theory that we are celebrating today because we are people of light. The chalice is the symbol for us that we light each Sunday as we gather. Each meeting that we have, board meetings, committee meetings, anytime that we gather as a community, we light this chalice because it is the symbol of our faith. It is the symbol of our community. We are people of light. And as we center ourselves around this light and this theory today, the light of our chalice, to be reminded of that dual nature of light, that it is both made up of particles and it's both also waves that produce a tremendous amount of energy. In the same way, the chalice is not one thing that's in our congregation. Look around you in this space today. Look at the faces, see the eyes of the folks that are here. Close your eyes and see the faces and the names of those who can't be with us here, not able to, and are joining us virtually. As we move to the Memorial Garden a little bit later to remember and celebrate Verona, think about those many folks who are no longer with us that are celebrated and memorialized. They are all particles that make up this chalice light. There are lots of things that you could call members of the UUCC, and we know the many names that we could call ourselves. Today, I want us to embrace that we are all particles that make up the light. And at the same time, this chalice light, not only is it made up of these tremendous particles as we gather and make this chalice, but we are also waves of energy. Did you hear what Ron said at the end? The universe runs on this energy that light creates. Think about that. And of course, Ron, in his typical style, is also warning us that it may end soon. until it ends, then the light is always. Many of y'all maybe remember the children's sermon where Ron shared that the universe was going to end soon and the kids were just kind of mouth open. But great waves of energy. Think about the waves of energy that emanate from this place. The ways that we are able to powerfully insert love into our community and transform our world around us with our desire for equality, for justice, for compassion. These are the waves that move out of this place. And this energy that we create with this gathering of light particles around our chalice, this energy that we create in this place has the ability and does on a daily basis transform our world, our culture around us. Because we are particles, because we are waves, because we are this light of the UUCC, we are a potent force for change.
Our closing music is There Are Numerous Strings. The words and music are by Rabindranath Tagore with a harmony by Betsy Jo Anjabrand.
Thank you. A big thanks to Connie for being our worship leader today, to Anna and Karen for the beautiful music. Just grounds our service. And as always, David and Linda for hosting the virtual events, and Dr. Edge, as you were listening, for bringing such great perspective and personality to science and blessing us today. So as we extinguish this chalice, may we leave this place as generative particles and waves. We are a collection of particles bound together by covenant and community, producing the transforming power of love, change, and justice in our world. We are the light. We are the UUCC.
As you're willing and able, I invite you to join me in singing the congregational benediction.
thank you for being a part of our service today. Invite you to stick around outside for some time of social gathering. In probably about 20 minutes, we'll gather in the Memorial Garden for a very brief scattering of the ashes for Verona Thomas. Thank you for being here.